Hello to everyone. Do you know why today I filmed without my famous hat, which by the way is over there? The answer is why not? Anyway, GPS or smartphone, which is the best way to navigate yourself? This will be the topic of today's video, so if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back. Actually, the topic is a video response to a comment from a viewer of the channel. Hi Pavlin, enjoying your motorcycle videos. I have been riding bikes alone on 3 different continents for the last 40 years, but I am a total idiot when it comes to modern technology. If you haven't done so, maybe you could do the detailed segment on GPS devices where you patiently explain everything, like does it need to be connected to internet, what are power banks and how to use them, where, when and how to buy local SIM cards and other gizmos like that. You might make life easier for any dinosaurs like me. Thank you very much for this comment, Thomas. Actually, it's a very good question and I will try to be as patient and detailed as possible. I understood that you don't have any problems with paper maps, and because maybe 80% of today's travelers never use it, I'm not gonna talk about it in this video. But actually I have another one made a few years ago, and anyone who wants to watch it can make it here. Let me first tell you what is the difference between a real motorcycle GPS device, something like a Garmin Zumo XT, and a GPS that is made for cars. In fact, I have used one of these GPS that are made for cars for about 5-6 years, and I believe that I have some things to tell you now that might help you to make the right choice. They are cheaper and got more options in terms of size, brands, models, but they have one big minus: they are not designed for motorcycles. This basically means that they are not water, shock and dust proof. With a few words, they won't last long. Of course, this depends on your riding style, how often and in what weather or road conditions, but I hope that you got the idea. And now, because I expect many of you to comment that you can buy very cheap GPS case, waterproof, dustproof, with zips on the top, you can keep the device inside and it will be protected. Well, partly I will agree, but these cases, they work somehow, but never exactly what you had been told. For example, your screen is not going to responding that well because you have another one layer on the top, and when it rains sometimes it gets foggy inside, or the zip jam or broke, or you cannot route the cable properly because of the holes that they've got on the left or right side might not pass on your motorcycle, and many small annoying problems like this. Believe me, I experienced them all. Also, most of these devices come with a big 12-volt adapter that needs to be plugged into 12 volts outlet. This is not a big deal, you might say, but it might become. For example, when both of my 12 volts outlets got rusted after many years of use, I needed to go to a different solution to charge the device. And here now you might stop me and say, Pavlin, this is not a problem at all. I can always cut the cables and connect it to the power of the motorcycle, right? Technically you can, but not on all devices. For example, all Garmin's requires this big and bulky adapter. They don't work without it. If you connect it without it, just with a simple cable, power it to the motorcycle, it goes to some kind of mode, service mode that you cannot use. You cannot navigate yourself. You can, technically you can, and a friend of mine showed me how to do it in Australia. Thank you very much, Andy. But it was very long procedure, following specific steps. And the worst of everything was that after you finish and, for example, you turn off the engine and then you start it again, you have to start the whole procedure again. So very soon after that, I just abandoned it. You can solve this problem by just connecting the power of your motorcycle to the end of this adapter, to the plus and minus, bandage it with scotch and probably hide it somewhere under the plastics, so you don't need to use one of your power outlets. And I also did this as well, but this is just a temporary solution because the device itself, the car GPS, it's not designed to hold all of this weather conditions, this dust, vibrations, rain and all of this, and sooner or later it will stop working, as mine stopped I don't know how many years ago. A few minutes are passed and I'm still on the car GPS devices. I'm really sorry guys, but as I promised to Thomas, it will be very long and detailed video for dinosaurs. Okay, let's finally move to the proper real motorcycle GPS devices. We're gonna take, for example, Garmin Zumo XT, but you can use any brand and model, but important part is to be for motorcycle. When you have a look around it, you will see immediately that all the possible downsides that I have listed here are eliminated. They are water, shock and dust proof. They got holders designed to be attached to a motorcycle dashboard, easy to be connected to the electric system of almost any model. Big buttons designed to be used with motorcycle gloves, many different options in the settings like choosing only twisty or motorcycle friendly roads and many more. They have two big downsides, at least this is how many I have found. The first is that they're expensive. The cheaper model that you can get, possible brands like Garmin TomTom or another brand, will be like 300-400 euros. But the usual price of device that you would like to use will cost you like 500 euros. And this is a lot of money for many people, especially from the third world countries. In the West, okay, this is affordable, but not for everyone. Even this was the reason for me to buy a car GPS, because I cannot afford to pay 500 or 600 euros for something that I will use in very rare situations. Anyway, the second downside is that you have to rely only on the map that it has inside. Even that you can update it sometimes. For example, Garmin offer lifetime update if you buy some of their devices, but it needs to be done on the computer. It's a slow process, it requires some patience and some time to do it. I don't think that you can make it on the road. They might change this, I don't know. The last time when I used a GPS was like 5-6 years ago. The things might change now and I didn't know anything about it, so excuse me if I'm wrong. But this is something that you have to know. I forgot to tell you that this lifetime update is only for Europe. So if you need the map, for example, for North America, South America or the rest of the world, you have to buy it, and they're not cheap. We're talking about 150, 60 to $80 for just a single map. You can also try some not really legal options to have a different maps to work in your Garmin GPS, for example, but this is not always possible because now you have to use this kind of crack versions, and when you start to make this live updates, they might catch you. So this is again in the gray zone. You can do it, but it's definitely not for everyone. Alright, even non-updated map is still a map, right? You have the towns, the villages, the addresses, all the information inside, right? That is correct. You might miss some new roads, possible diversions or some connections or maybe construction works, but that is okay. What is not okay is the way the names of the villages and towns are integrated already in your data system. So let me give you a few examples. The first that I remember now is a small village in Bulgaria named Dulino. It is actually on the famous Dulino pass from Varna to Burgas going over the mountains. Anyway, but if you just type on your GPS Dulino, the way I type it here now, you will find nothing, because you need to know exactly how the village is spelled, which is Dulino like this. So if you type it the first option, the GPS will show you nothing, so you cannot find it. And you can always say, this is not a problem, Pavlen, I can find it on the GPS, zoom it closely, press on it and then go follow the directions and the GPS will guide you. That's correct. When you know where you're going, that is easy. But when you need to find a specific address, how you gonna show it exactly where it is when you don't know, or when you're looking for something new? And for big towns and villages or maybe international cities, this is not a problem. They always are spelled the same way. But I can remember now another one, a border town in Hungary named Szeged. When you hear Szeged, it means, okay, Szeged probably is with S or with Z, whatever. But actually, this is how it's spelled here, Szeged. And if you try to, I'm sure that you will never write it this way, because it is just not in your mind. Because the Hungarian language is very difficult, and the combination of words and letters, it's very different than the rest of the world. So you have to know exactly how we spell it. Otherwise, you will find nothing, zero. Here I have to admit that I stopped using GPS devices from at least 4, maybe 5 years. So during that time, there might be some new models that use internet, update the system, or have this suggestion feature, which is basically mean that if you type something wrong, it will correct you, like Google Maps, but I'm not aware of it. So Regarding to your second question, Thomas, does the GPS need internet? No, they don't need internet. As far I know, what they need is a power outlet to charge it. They've got their own batteries, but they usually last like 3, 4 to 5 hours. And when the devices are new, once they get older, the battery don't last even 2 hours. So you definitely need a 12-volt power outlet to charge your GPS system. The next possible navigation system that I would like to discuss in this video is the smartphone. I have done this as well, even do it now in a bit different way, but I'm gonna tell you about it a little bit later. Now they became very popular, and you can see more and more people use them instead of a proper GPS devices. There are many reasons why, and they're very simple, because everyone has a smartphone and know how to use it. The software is way better and constantly improving. The screens, the features that even cheap smartphone has will be better than the most expensive GPS devices. Another big plus is that you can use Google Maps, which in my opinion has the best source of information at the moment. You can also download many different navigation apps and basically have unlimited number of maps on it. The best feature that this option has is that even if you don't spell the town or the village properly, it will correct you and will show you all the possible options, especially when you use Google Maps. On your question, Thomas, do I need internet? No, you don't. You can download the maps that you need and use it offline. The size of the files that you can use offline is limited, and you need to do it day by day or every few days, depends on how many kilometers you cover. But this is not difficult, and you can learn how to do it very fast. If you use other navigation apps like Here, Maps.me or whatever you like, you might be able to download the whole world map, and it will be much easier. But as I said, in my opinion, Google Maps work the best. So far so good, but let's now talk about some of the possible cons that you might experience if you decided to navigate yourself by smartphone. For example, they overheat very fast, especially on the hot days. They are not water, dust and shock proofed. At least not all models. Just because your iPhone is advertised like a waterproof does not mean that you can use it for many hours on the rain, day after day, week after week, and expect it to last forever. No, it won't. Another possible issue is that when you use your telephone, your smartphone for navigation, your battery will be dead after 3, 4 to 5 hours. Depends on that what kind of battery you've got. And then now you can say, Pavlen, this is not a problem. I have this 12-volt outlet socket on my motorcycle. I can charge it every time, all the time actually, and I can use it without any stops. That is true, you can until you cannot, because sometimes, because of the vibrations, because of the dust, because of the possible different problems, the port of your charging system just get loose or break. And then you won't be able to charge your telephone, and you'll be left even without any telephone, so you cannot even contact your family. As you can see, there is no one universal device or system that will work and will be affordable for everyone. You have to find the one that is okay, that is best for you, and that cover all of your needs. For example, I used one smartphone with Google Maps. I download the maps that I need every night when I'm in the hotel and got Wi-Fi, and on the next day I use it offline, so I don't need to be connected to internet. Of course, this has some downsides because the size of the files that you can download are usually very big, and you can clock your system very fast. But the day after that, when I don't need it anymore, I delete the old maps and download the new maps. And like anything else, this also got some minuses, but as you saw already, in all possible options you're gonna have these pros and cons. This is my second smartphone, and I use it only to navigate myself, nothing else. It has only Google Maps on it, no different apps, only Google Maps. And also keep in mind that just because I use paper maps, I need this GPS only in last moment when you enter a city, for example, and need to find a specific addresses, or sometimes on the road when I'm not sure about the ways I'm going. So in my case, I can last almost a day without charging the battery. So when I have to, I have my power outlet here to charge it, but it happens in very rare situations. And now, because I promised to Thomas in the beginning of the video, I have to tell you a few words about power banks and SIM cards. Power bank basically means a spare battery, like this. The one that I use is the brand name Anker. Let me focus on it. Okay, Anker. It has 13,000 milliampere hours battery charge, which basically means that I can charge my smartphone at least 5 times. Because it has 2 different ports, you can see it here, I can charge 2 devices at the same time. For example, my telephone and my GoPro as well. But if I go this way, it will be double less, not 5 times, maybe 2-3 times maximum. But you can buy any size, any milliampere hours. They are bigger, with 17, 20, 26,000 milliampere hours. You can have even the one that can start your motorcycle, even your car. There are unlimited numbers and choices and brands and models on the market. So you can get the one that you need. But this device I use mostly when I go camping, because if you go to, let's say, camping spot, paid camping, they will charge you additional 3-4 euros just to give you a power. But when you have one of these, you can charge it anytime, especially when you go to wild camping. You can use it, charge your telephone, smartphones, whatever you need to. And the last question was about the SIM cards, when you need it and from where to buy it. So when you travel, for example, around Europe and you are from Europe, you don't need to buy anything. You can use your own telephone with the SIM card that you got at home, because now we don't have this roaming and you don't have any additional extra cost when you're crossing the countries. Of course, you have to check this with your provider, but basically this means that you can talk the same rates that you have at home, and you can use internet the same way that you can use at home, and there will be no extra bill for that. When you travel outside of Europe, or you're American that come to Europe, it is better to buy a local SIM card and using during your stay. This will save you a lot of money and will give you the flexibility that we need today. Every time when I travel outside of Europe, I do it. You can buy it from any telephone provider that you can see on the road or you have found on internet. When it comes to the SIM cards, I will advise always to ask locals what is their favorite company that provides the best coverage around the country. Otherwise, you will pay for a SIM card that might not have any coverage in the areas that you plan to ride. One important moment that you have to be careful is, just because some of the countries are geographically located in Europe does not mean that they are part of European Union. For example, Serbia, Kosovo, Albania, even Andorra are not part of European Union, which basically means that every time when you go to these countries, you will be charged in different rates. It will be something like 8 euros per 1 megabyte, not gigabyte, 1 megabyte of data. And you can finish with really huge bill at home without do anything, even without any uploading, because your smartphone will need these regular updates to the system and will use these data without even know about it. So just be careful with it. So Thomas, I hope that this video gave you the answers that you need. If not, you can always ask in the comments. There are more than enough people, include me, to give you the necessary information. Always ride safe and see you next time. Ciao.